From downtown, this is Tim Kitzer from NBA Jam, and you're listening to NintenDomain Podcast. Boom shakalaka!
This week on NintenDomain, we have Andréas on from Bitwave/Clear River to talk to us about Gimmick 2.
I've been Peglin on the big screen.
Gimmick 2 is here.
To NintenDomain Podcast, episode 439. Your place here, Nintendo fans, talk about old, obscure NES sequels and large price tags on other systems and whatnot. And we are your hosts. I'm Trey, HD, and SD Johnson.
I'm Jeremy. My iPhone's trash now. Mikowski.
I'm John. Once again, Gimmick 2 is here. Knitter.
And we did an interview with Andréas from Bitwave at Clear River earlier, John and I did, and let's cut to that now.
All right, so we got a very special guest here today in honor of the release of the fantastic new platformer Gimmick 2. We have Andréas Göransson here from Clear River Games. Welcome, Andréas.
Thanks. Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome back, we should say.
It's a pleasure, yeah.
Listeners might remember about a year ago or so, Gimmick Special Edition came out across all platforms, still available, still great. And we talked to Andréas a year ago about that game, but little did we know he had this trick up his sleeve. Gimmick 2 has been in development for some time, and it's out now. You can get it now. So I guess I kind of want that to be my first question, like, what was it like releasing the first Gimmick about a year ago, and everybody being excited about that, this long-lost NES gem coming to modern platforms, and then also hiding this other thing that you got, this other amazing thing that you guys were working on that nobody was expecting? What was that like?
It was a special time for sure. I remember it so clearly because, like, the autumn of 2022, my current boss, Niklas, CEO at Bitwave, called me and said, hey, Clear River Games, they're publishing a Gimmick 1 for physical, so we should definitely do the digital since we're working on Gimmick 2. And I said, heck yes, let's go.
Nice.
So it was very important to us to connect the brand and the franchise to us. And I think we did it very well. And when we did the campaign for Gimmick 1, we tweeted and said, well, what would you like us to do next? And people were like, Gimmick 2. And I was like, hey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was interesting for sure.
Was that part of how you were able to get the rights to Gimmick 2 from Sunsoft? Like, was there like, hey, if you re-release the first one, we'll let you do the second one? Is that similar to that?
No, it's actually two separate stories. So the development of Gimmick 2 started the fall of 2021. So we were like in midst of pre-production when the Gimmick 1 opportunity showed up. And that was more like Clear River Games already had a deal with City Connection, the developer of Gimmick 1. And we got the question from Ali, which is my current boss, if we want to do the digital, because it would make sense for us to work on both of the games. So we were already in touch with Sunsoft. I believe Sunsoft actually visited the office that spring when we were starting to talk about Gimmick 1. So they were super interesting in what we were doing with the first game as well.
Nice. Yeah, it's. I mean, that's kind of like the dream come true, right? Where you can release one of your favorite games, to the public that has not been available really, and then you can do your own sequel to it. Like that's like I don't know how it could get any better than that, right? I hope more people are able to do that, to bring out something that's hard to find and be like, oh yeah, and by the way, we got another game like a year later.
We're picking up the mantle. Yeah.
Yeah. It's impressive.
Yeah. So it's out now. You've been working on it since 2021. It must just feel like great to have this, big game you've been working on for a long time out there, to carry on the legacy of Gimmick. It must feel just amazing.
It does for sure. I mean, like I've been there from the beginning. The reason why I joined Bitwave to begin with was Gimmick 2, because Niklas called me the spring of 2021 because I was working at another company called Thunderful, and I've got to learn Niklas over the years. We've been at events together and parties together, and he said, "Well, there's something really cool happening now. We're going to be more retro focused, and we are currently negotiating a deal on a big IP, and I would love you to join the studio." So I wasn't even aware what it was. And then when he had the presentation for like everyone who was joining, like we're doing Gimmick 2, it was like, oh, that game, that's intriguing, because I knew the story about Gimmick 1 since many years, as I'm a collector myself. So it was super cool to just see all the concept art of Yumataro that was used in that pitch.
For anybody who hasn't seen the excellent IGN documentary that came out about a week ago, go check it out, and like you get a nice, maybe even pause our interview here, go watch it, and then come on back for the rest of the show, of course. But I thought that they did such a great job just telling the whole story of Gimmick. For anyone out there who doesn't know the game still, it will bring you up to speed. And then for people who are familiar with the game, it will make you feel all warm and fuzzy, just with the love for this great franchise, and then all the different people you brought into that video too. How did that video come about? How did that come to be?
So a co-worker and I, we discussed how should we get as much exposure as possible. So we were investigating different options. We were talking with YouTubers to see if there were anyone who would like to make a documentary about the development of the game. And then I remembered that IGN actually, I think it was like 1 or 2 years prior, they published a documentary about how Nintendo came to Sweden. It's a super interesting story about a guy called Uwe, who was like one of the first who actually got the console to our continent. And I thought maybe they are also interested in this quirky story, because it is a quirky story. And we had a meeting, and I presented a pitch like, this is a game that was only released in Japan and Scandinavia. It's super expensive. It has a cult following, both in Europe and US. And now we're making a sequel. And they were super impressed. And then we decided that they should come visit us. And well, now it's out there.
Now it's out there. Yeah, it's a nice deep dive. And I've been a follower of IGN for a long time. Many of us have. But I think it feels like something a little bit different for them. It wasn't just like a preview or whatever. It felt like exactly that, a deep dive. They went into everything about the history of Gimmick, and why it's so important still today, and parlayed that into a nice, prepping for the release of Gimmick 2. So I think, everybody go watch that video from IGN. And so you're the community manager for Clear River Games, yeah?
I do a lot of stuff, but community, a little bit of PR, a little bit of marketing, also helping Bitwave. So I'm a jack of all trades. I'm everywhere.
Yeah, I saw when I was trying to get the link out, I saw your name for Bitwave and like both ones. So I ended up sending it to. I'm sure. Yeah, you have a hand in everything.
So
Yeah, I do for sure. Like Clear River and Bitwave are sister companies and work very closely together. So that's why I do both of them with the help of my dear community manager Victor, who wasn't able to join tonight, but he's amazing, and I wouldn't be able to do it without him.
hello, Victor, and thanks for helping set all this up. We appreciate you. So this is like a special for a community manager in the role that how I picture that role. Sort of keeping everybody informed, interested, engaged. I have to think that this is like a prime assignment for a community manager. This everybody's been. If you're a Gimmick fan, you've been starving for 30 years, and you thought like that was as good as it was going to get, a year ago when you got the special edition, and now to unleash the Gimmick 2. What is the community feeling like these days? Like, is it just like all good vibes and happy feelings and sunshine?
It's actually been both ups and downs. A lot of good vibes, a lot of not so good vibes. I mean, it's a cult classic. It's a massive part of many people's childhood. It's a game that they cherish, and they love. And to present a sequel to such a game is very tough. We announced the game in June together with Limited Run Games. Limited Run are also a sister company of ours. And we were looking into different events during the summer, like where can we reach the audience that we want to. And our first choice was Nintendo, but it didn't really work out. And then we landed in maybe we should join up with Limited Run because they have a big audience and they do a lot of retro stuff. So we did. We didn't have any gameplay that was enough polished. So we decided to just run with it and present the game is coming. And then we thought maybe we could wait a couple of weeks and then do a gameplay trailer. Just to make the game look so good. And that led to first a lot of love and then a lot of backlash, and there were a lot of angry people. But I can understand that, and that's where I think good old community management made a bigger difference.
So the original Gimmick is like kind of known for being incredibly challenging and all that. Like, I mean, what were some of the challenges to do Gimmick 2, like to make it new but also make it like more approachable for people, since the first game was so difficult to play and all that.
Yeah, so early on, the team discussed how should we, as you said, have it approachable, but at the same time also challenging, because we want to honor the original game. We looked at a couple of options, and we landed in that probably the easiest way to pull this off is to completely erase the system with limited lives. That's something we should totally do, because that's something we did with Wunderling as well. Because then you get rid of the whole thing where people have to play the game all over again. So we did that. And at the same time, we upped the difficulty. So the second game is actually more difficult in some aspects. Another thing that we decided on was to do, like, increase the amount of checkpoints and also make the checkpoints more visible, like more visual, and also like use the modern tech. Like, you don't have to have as many trial and error segments as you did before. You can play around with level of design in like a whole other way than you could before.
I felt that, Trey and I both have the game, and we both got to play it. We both got to the second level so far. We played through whole first level. I felt like I was invited to, when I made a mistake, to immediately, pick right back up, get back on the horse, and go back into it. I'm reminded of games like Celeste, like that kind of like, oh, you died and you're right back, try again. And I appreciate that in Gimmick too, because in Gimmick 1, which I still love and still play to this day, it's you there is that beginning of that, try again, try again, try again. But as you were saying, having fewer checkpoints and stuff made that a little bit more frustrating. As great feeling as the controls were in Gimmick 1, and as much as they made you want to like jump back on the star and ride across the level and have fun again, sometimes going back so far was a bit of a downer. And so I'm glad to see that you've improved that in Gimmick 2, adding more checkpoints and then allowing. So you say the game gets more difficult than the first one. Okay, cool. So now I'm prepared for that. Being able to like jump back in very quickly lends itself to trying more difficult challenges, and I think that's cool. I think that speaks to the heart of why a lot of people really like Gimmick 1. That whole thing of being challenging, but taking off the edge a little bit, and inviting new players too. I think that's very cool. That's a very cool design.
Thank you.
That's the best way to modernize any game, I think. It's like you're saying, just getting rid of game overs completely and lives and all that, and just make it all based on like one specific challenge at a time. And I played a little bit into the second level, and the checkpoints do, like, they're not, there's some that are farther apart, and there are like, parts where you do have to go back. So it's not like they're all the time, And one of the things I thought was really, really cool about this game, which I haven't really seen in any other game, is when you start the game, in order to get to the harder difficulty, you have to actually like platform to get there. That's a great idea. Like, I don't know how you guys came to that decision, but that's really cool. Like, I don't think I've seen that in any other game before.
Thank you. Yeah, the level designer Gustav made an incredible job on the platforming part. I don't have like so much details in the thinking, other than we should pick the 2D puzzling parts and use more of them, and also like the first game was a lot of one shots. Like you did one thing and then it didn't really appear later in the game, and we decided that we should decrease the one shots and instead evolve the mechanics that we are using to make it more cohesive. Is that the correct word?
Yeah, like you're building on top of the thing you just learned as you play throughout the game. And yeah, I felt that too. And in the first one, there would be moments where you learned to do one cool move, but then you just kind of never did that again. But it's cool that you've got this idea of building upon what you experienced.
You kind of have to like you have to retrain your brain to like play a Gimmick, is what I noticed last night, because most like platformers you have to like hold Y to run or whatever, and that's not really how it works. This is more based on like momentum and physics and all that. So it's cool to have that. I guess it's cool to have that opening platform thing, so you can kind of start to sort of understand the game before you actually get into it. Like for me, it was trying to be like, oh no, wait, it's not like Mario. You have to like do the slopes to jump farther, and and momentum and all that stuff. So it's cool.
Right, you're puzzling as you're platforming and being creative. That's one thing I love so much about the original, and one thing that you're really expanding upon so far in the second one, as I've experienced it, is I'm looking at things and going like, oh, how do I get up there? And like I see a pipe sticking out from the sky to like doing nothing, the pipe hanging up there. I'm like, well, now I got to figure out how to get up there. So I'm stopping. I'm not just going left to right through the level anymore. Now I'm here on this section of the game and looking at these angles. Can I throw the star from this angle? Should I go a little faster? And I just find these things kind of really fascinating. It's like, I love puzzle games. I love platformers. And when a game is able to do this and, put them together like that, I just think it's so satisfying. And also because of the physics, the way the star bounces, you feel like you created the solution in a lot of the ways. I don't know. I think it's you took that piece from Gimmick, and so far you're building on it really, really well so far. Just having this amazing platform where you're being creative in the way that you get through the level.
Thank you. No, but we learned a lot from working with our previous game, Wunderling. And Wunderling is actually a love letter to the first Gimmick game. And Gimmick 2 is, in some aspect, a love letter to both Gimmick and Wunderling. There's a lot of secrets and also 2D puzzling that you have to do in Wunderling to actually find treasures and secrets. So we brought that and evolved it.
Nice. I was going to say I've never played through all of Gimmick 1. Did they have the star like where you shoot the star where you use the star kind of like a key to open different things? Because that is really cool. Also, in Gimmick 2, there's like you'll see like this outline of the star that is like your power up, and you can shoot. You shoot your star to have it like land in that spot to open a door or whatever. But there's a cool mechanic where you pull your star back, and that'll trigger another door. Like I thought that was, or that's a whole nother part of it. Like you might like have to jump on one platform and then pull your star back for another platform to appear, for it not being in the, like I really enjoyed that. Like
yeah, that was a new thing for Gimmick 2, and a really cool innovation too. As Trey was saying, like you only get the one star, and so if you've thrown it into the, we'll call it like a keyhole, where you put your star. If you have it in there and you decide to use your star again, or you accidentally hit the star button or whatever, then it leaves that hole, and then perhaps there's a bridge that has been drawn because you put the star in there. Well, now the bridge goes back up, and now maybe you're in trouble because of that. So it's just a really creative. It takes the already creative star throwing mechanic and the star using the star mechanic adds a whole nother layer onto it, which I found really fascinating. And
there's like a lot of stuff. There's two parts to it too, where like you'll throw the star in the keyhole and that'll do a thing, but when you pull the star away, that does another thing. Like I was like in a level, I think it's in the second level, where you jump on one thing and then you pull your star back so the other thing can come out and you can land on it. Like it just has some really, really cool mechanics in there. That was a really cool idea. I mean, what did it take to come to that plan, or was that something? Go ahead.
Yeah, so when we looked at like designing the different mechanics of Gimmick 2, we obviously looked at the star, because the star that's the major thing in Gimmick. That's your weapon. It's also your vehicle in some aspects, and we thought, how can we evolve this? How can we use this in more of a puzzling fashion? We came up with the star slots. That's what we call them, because in Wunderling we used keys a lot. We brought the keys to Gimmick 2 as well, but we didn't really want it to feel like the same thing, but with different characters. And then we thought, what would be if we could combine that mechanic with the star? What will we get then? And star slot made sense. We actually tried a lot of different options. We had timers. We had slots that made different things, but less is more. And we decided to land on that. They should probably be a key to open up platforms. It should also raise and lower platforms, and sometimes maybe they should fool you so you think you're safe when you're not. And I think the team really nailed it.
You got me with at least one of those already.
Yeah.
Glad to hear.
Yeah, there was a lot of that in the first one. Well, I mean, stuff that's like, oh yeah, here, no, now you're dead. It's like a lot of surprise stuff. Not like this one isn't mean about it. The other one is meaner about it. Another thing,
I had a moment. Oh, go ahead, Dre. Go ahead.
Oh, if you're still, yeah, I was just going to say another thing that I've seen in the game is different enemies behave differently. Like I ran into those little green guys that, like, I guess that's the end of the first level, where they don't don't attack you until you like attack them. Like that was another cool thing, because in the original one that was a big part of it, right? That it had different characters that moved in different ways and did different things, and I thought you guys did a good job bringing that same mechanic to the new game.
That was a moment, just to build on that, because that's what I was going to mention just now. That was a moment where it just kind of clicked in my head and it made me smile. It made me go, "Oh, this is a Gimmick game." Like that's the exact thought that went in my head. Oh, this is a Gimmick game. Yep. Just the fact that the little guy was standing there minding his own business, and then I started jumping on his head, and he'd make a cute little noise, and he had kind of like a frustrated look on his face.
Everybody attacks you.
But then I did it too much, and then everybody like went in like cuckoos in Zelda and just swarmed me. Yeah. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, I tried that.
Yeah, I also, when I tried that the first time, I also felt it was so cool. And the idea came to when, because in the first game, I don't know if you remember, but on the second level, there's a green giant chasing you on the ship. He's back. I don't want to spoil anything for those who haven't played it yet, but he's playing a part in the first level, as you know. And then we thought maybe he has babies. How would the babies act?
Yeah.
Maybe he has a lot of babies. And we also were inspired by the way, from Super Mario Wonder, like the singing flowers. We thought it was such a quirky moment. Like how can we do something similar to just surprise people? And we ended up with the small giants, I guess we should call them small giants and big giants.
Definitely.
Well, speaking of singing, we got to mention the amazing get that you got for this game.
Yeah, the soundtrack,
among many things. So David Wise is the composer of Gimmick 2.
He is.
How did you get a hold of David Wise? That's like top tier. Like if I had a game that I wanted somebody to do soundtrack on, I'd definitely say. I mean, David Wise is, it's like I said, for me, like S tier composers, like one of the greatest, like up there with the Uematsu and Koji Kondo and all that. Like that's amazing that you guys got him. Like how did you come to that?
We discussed at the office early in development the soundtrack, and we talked about different options. We talked about Kageyama-san, who was composer of the original game, but we also knew a guy, Oscar, who have made music for us and a lot of studios in Gothenburg. The composer of the Wunderling soundtrack, Rhett Vader. Sadly, he was busy, but he said, "Niklas, you have such an amazing game, and you have such an amazing ideas for this game. You should have the most amazing composer in the whole wide world. Who would you like to pick?" And he said, "Well, it would be cool to work with David Wise." So we contacted David, and we gave him the pitch, asked him to record samples. We asked Kageyama to record samples as well. And we felt like the vibe we want to achieve with the sequel was more of a David game. So David joined the team, and he's been such a gem. He also attended Gamescom with us, and it was so much fun. I love David. He's great.
Seemed like from the IGN documentary, like he was a fan of the original Gimmick's music too, and maybe that helped persuade him. Yeah,
I would say that, and he also loved the like Niklas vision and like Niklas story on how we even got the IP to begin with.
So you've got the original Gimmick's soundtrack is available for purchase. It's available on Steam. Is this soundtrack available for purchase yet?
Not yet. We've seen and heard comments from the community. We are looking into it. It's more complicated than just adding it to the Steam page, but it's something that we would love to explore. and make happen.
Yeah, we got 2 votes right here for making it happen. So.
Yeah, I'll. I mean, if you put it on Bandcamp or wherever somewhere I can purchase it, I'll purchase it. And Gimmick 1 had a record even, right? Like there was like a full vinyl of the Gimmick soundtrack. Like, I mean, I'm sure that's its own thing, but it's just nice to see video game music available, because I've been listening to video game music for years, since I was a kid, and it's nice to be able to actually buy it at places. I remember how excited I was just to see like a CD at GameStop or whatever, or Babbage's, I guess it was at the time. But yeah, put it out there. I'll buy it. I like to buy, especially like indie soundtracks and stuff like that. I have a pretty big collection, so yeah, definitely love to purchase that.
I will do my best to convince. No, but we would love to do that, and we are exploring, because since we're working with Sunsoft, it's a matter of like who's going to be the publisher of the soundtrack, because Clear River, we haven't published soundtracks before. It's different practices, but there's will, I guess.
I remember when you guys dropped the teaser for the game, it was the music hit, and I was like, that's the Gimmick soundtrack. But my mind didn't even go to, oh, there's going to be another one. My mind went to, they're promoting the re-release again. Like, what? Like, this is kind of unusual. They're promoting the release. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, no, they're doing the sequel, and we're going to get more great Gimmick music. And I don't know. I've been pumped for this game, and it's nice to have a game that you've like been wishing for a long time, and then wait a minute, it's actually happening. Like, this was like one of my long held wish fulfillment games, and you guys did it. You're doing it, and yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just gushing to say thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. John's like John's the biggest Gimmick fan I know. So I mean, you've definitely made a couple years for him for sure. Like from the re-release of the first one and a sequel, like right after the other. What more do you want?
Yep. So I'm so glad to hear. Like, the biggest Gimmick fan I know is Niklas. He's been the driving force, and he started the studio over 10 years ago because he wanted to make games like Gimmick. So I'm super glad for him, because he finally got to make his dream game. It's very cute when he's talking about Gimmick at the office, like when he's showing his Scandinavian version and his Famicom version and the letter that was included in the Famicom version. It's really cute.
I noticed. Well, I also been watching the documentary. David Wise was saying that he wanted to bring in more Scandinavian instruments into the music, and
yeah.
And when I was playing the game yesterday, I unlocked a costume that somebody didn't mention yet. You can get costumes and change the look of Gimmick for the first time. And one of the costumes that I got was a little wreath, like a very Scandinavian looking flower wreath. I was reminded of the movie Midsummer. Like, not to bring it too dark, but that's just what came to mind.
Midsummer. It's the best day of the year. It's not as bad as in the movies, though.
Okay,
I promise.
I'm glad to hear you're safe.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But the first level is heavily inspired by Midsummer. Like, the whole theme, the background art, the music. It's very much Swedish Midsummer.
I should tell my wife that. That's one of their favorite movies. Here, play Gimmick 2. It's like Midsummer.
Disclaimer: it is not like Midsummer. But I just think that's cool that, as the legend goes about Gimmick, it being only available in Japan and in Scandinavia, that with Gimmick 2, you're bringing in the Scandinavian influence and wearing it on its sleeve. I think that's so cool that, like, it just makes me think about the whole legacy of Gimmick and how for us it was available only in far off lands, Scandinavia and Japan, and like it all just seems very appropriate. The influences are coming together in Gimmick 2.
It's like a deep cut from the knowledge of Gimmick, to bring that in there, just because if that was like you were saying, John, where it was available aside from Japan.
Yeah, we are very happy to have the opportunity to inject some Scandinavian DNA into the game and honor the past, because the game's past is both Japan and Scandinavia.
Well, I know we're approaching our original time, or so I guess we should. Are you good to hang on for a few more minutes, or do you have to go?
No, of course.
Okay.
I'm happy to be here.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if you needed to jet or not.
Okay.
Did you have
Okay.
Do you have some other questions, John, that you wanted to ask?
I could go on forever. So like, I don't want to ask, where does it go from here? Because this is just like, this feels like enough. You know what I mean? Like any other game, I would. So what's next? I'm like, I wasn't expecting this, and I'm just glad to have it. I would say to anyone who hasn't experienced Gimmick at all, first of all, go get the original and go get this Gimmick 2 now. Maybe play Gimmick 2 first, if you're
That's
really...
Yeah. I was actually, before we started, I was telling John that because I had a hard time getting into Gimmick 1. Like I understand like the all of the technical impressive things that it did for the time, but it's not very approachable, because it's like, and a lot of it's got a lot of these like tricky. It's like, oh, I killed you, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I don't like that. And the checkpoint system is much nicer than like, doing like save state and rewind and all that in the original one. So I think even though you said the second one is harder, I think it's more approachable. And it's easier to make. You can make it harder when it has more checkpoints and it's less like unfair,
It's all about balance.
You said that you guys worked with Limited Run. Is there a physical coming out for Gimmick 2 as well? Like, because Gimmick 1 had a physical release, right, through Limited Run. Is Gimmick 2 getting one?
Yes. So Clear River made the physical for the first game.
Okay.
And Limited Run, they are our beloved sisters, so they helped us selling the game in the US. I think I think it's nice that they get some credit, even though we do all the hard work. But for Gimmick 2, we're also doing a physical, so both a standard edition and a collector's edition. And the game will be sold retail in Europe, and Limited Run will handle the distribution in the US.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't. I didn't want to. I wasn't trying to say they did all the work. I just I wasn't sure. But there is a.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Is the physical is probably coming out at a later date, right? It's not out yet, I don't think, right? The physical release of Gimmick 2.
No, so like the next step for Bitwave is to wrap up the porting to PlayStation and Xbox, and after that, I would say we will look into the physical. Like the work on the physical has already started, but we would love to be able to ship both the Switch and the PlayStation version at the same time.
For sure, and then that's what I guess. We didn't really get to John's comment. That's like where the future is right now, as far as Bitwave is doing the physical release for 2, right?
Yeah, no. So for Gimmick 2 is PlayStation and Xbox on the horizon, and then we got the physical as well. Then Bitwave is also currently working on other projects internally. So there will be more stuff from the studio. It's a lot of secret stuff at the moment, so we'll see where it ends up at. But we're hard at work.
So I'm sure you can't tell whether it's reviving another old IP or a new project, or all of that is secret, I'm sure.
Or any more
It's all
Sunsoft
secret.
stuff. Yes.
Yeah. It's exciting,
We
though.
won't press.
Yeah,
press
no,
it too hard.
it's all secret, but Bitwave is a modern retro gaming studio, so put your guesses within that, I guess.
And if you want to see updates from whatever's going on with Bitwave, it's best to follow you guys on all the different places. You guys have social media stuff out there, right, for Bitwave through X and whatnot, right?
We do for sure. So at Bitwave Games and at Clear River Games.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited
Cool.
to see what you do next, because both of these have been great. And I don't know I think is there a demo for Wonderkin? I feel like we played it before
There is,
before
yep.
the other Because I don't know if I got the full game, but I definitely want to get it now. It's especially hearing that that it had influence on the new on the new gimmick as well. So check that.
And it's cool because
you should.
I just like the pitch for Wonderling too. Because it's basically like what if you were a Goomba? Like what if you were the little weak bad guy in a platformer? It's a role reversal kind of thing. It's a cool idea, and it's a fun game too.
Yeah, and if you like, when you know the story of the studio and why it even exists, you can certainly find a lot of stuff within Wonderling. Like, that's very gimmicky. I remember when we showed the first gameplay trailer for Gimmick 2, a lot of people were like, "Yeah, I that looks like Wonderling." So that's a compliment.
It's full circle.
It is.
Well, cool. Andreas, thanks for joining us. And thanks again for letting us preview copies of the Gimmick 2. And thanks for the wish fulfillment. 30 years of wishing for more Gimmick. I'd say this is like my most unlikely sequel. Like the one that I was like, I wish that would happen, but no one's going to do this. You guys did it. And like, it's a fun, amazing game. Lots of personality, lots of charm. It picks the reins up from the original and modernizes it in fun and approachable ways. I'm rooting for it. I want it to bring in the golden era of Gimmick and bring it to new audiences. And everybody go play Gimmick 2.
Well, yeah, thanks so much for having me, and thank you for playing and supporting us. Like, the project wouldn't even exist without the Gimmick fan base that's actually bigger than you can imagine. I'm very, very impressed and happy. And not saying that we're doing it, but by supporting the sequel, there might be more. You never know.
There could be a 3 even.
I hope
maybe. So. No, I'd like that. I like seeing more representation for Gimmick. Put Gimmick in Smash or something. Yeah.
Gimmick for Smash. Yes.
Yeah. Maybe eventually you get to stand tall with the other ones, or at least an amiibo. A Gimmick amiibo would be fun. I'm sure that'd be a whole nother thing to do, to deal with people for that. But yeah, thanks again for being on the show, and thanks for talking to us about Gimmick 2. And yeah, thanks so much for getting it out there so people can play 1 and 2 on Switch. And that's it's great. Definitely check it out. It's a fun time.
Thank you so much.
Right.
No problem.
And thanks for working with us with the schedule and everything too. And I know we got a big time difference here, and you're working after hours over there. So thank you.
This is just cozy. And I remember, like, last time I visited this podcast, I had a good time. So I was like, yeah, let's go. It's always nice to be here.
Amen. Thank you, Andreas.
Nice to have a return. Yeah, for sure. Thanks so much for being on.
All right, we look forward to seeing you next time.
Yeah,
and we'll keep in touch.
Well, definitely look forward to talking about whatever the future is for Bitwave. So it's always a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, and Clear River has a ton of cool stuff coming up as well that you should check out. If you're a fan of Snow Bros, for example, we are working with Tatsujin on Snow Bros Wonderland, which is also like the first sequel in 30 years.
Whoa!
So there's a lot of stuff happening.
Oh, nice.
All right.
I didn't even know about that. Is that the scoop? Did we get the scoop for Snow Bros? For the Snow Bros sequel?
It's been official for almost a year.
Oh, okay.
But I would love to join the podcast closer to launch and the process.
Oh, definitely. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. As soon as I saw that, the tweet of the news, I emailed you guys, and, but if you got something that's coming down the pipeline and you want to send us a message, you got our email too. But we'll both try and keep in touch. And it's great having you. We love having developers, and especially friendly developers who are willing to have a good time on the show. And we appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate being here. It's always cool to talk stuff with people of same interest, or as we say in Swedish, likasinnade.
How do we say that?
Likasinnade. It's like you are likasinnade, so like you are you have the same mind, kind of. I guess that's
Senora.
Nice.
Mika Sinade. Yeah.
I got it. I'm Swedish now. Yes.
Have the same mind, like the kids of the Green Giant.
Yes.
So instead of attack you, they have the same mind.
Amen.
All right, thanks so much.
All right. We'll see you next
See you
time,
next time.
Andreas.
See ya. Take care.
See you.
Hey, you.
It's me, Mario.
Yeah, you. Subscribe to our Patreon to hear our bonus shows, which happen every month.
I'm tired.
Tired of all the big corporate podcasts spoon feeding you the same old video game news on every single show?
Spaghetti. Ravioli.
Then expand!
With NintenDomain Expansion Pack.
It's us talking about old games that were important to us. It's us interviewing people that we meet at conventions. And heck, it's live shows from those same conventions. It's basically everything you could want that NintenDomain ever made.
Here we go!
And it's just $1 a month.
That's less than a bad indie on the eShop.
It's $12 a year, which is less than Nintendo Switch Online.
Thank you so much for subscribing to our Patreon and supporting NintenDomain.
Just go to patreon.com/NintenDomain podcast and, hey, Mario, let go. Whoa! He's throwing us back to the show.
So long, Bowser.
Patreon.com/NintenDomain podcast.
Game over.
Do you want to just do our what you've been doing, what you've been playing segment here, and I'll do the rest with Jeremy later. I'll do our stuff there.
Sure. Yeah, I don't even think I have any news stuff that I wanted to mention. I didn't add it to the outline, but I can take a quick look and see what we got.
Well, I guess the major news thing, and we can talk about it later. Is
That's more of a Jeremy thing.
It's the PlayStation 5 Pro price or whatever. But I thought we could talk about whatever you've been playing for the week, and or at least talk about anything more you want to add about Gimmick 2, about actually playing the game, because we did the interview and we've both played it.
Sure.
And the impressions and that sort of thing, because I think that's mostly what you've been doing, right, as far as video game stuff.
Yeah, I didn't have a whole lot, but I did have one other non-gaming but gaming adjacent thing. Okay. So for me this week, I didn't really play too many games this week, except for, of course, we got Gimmick 2, thanks to Andreas and Vince and Bitwave Games. And I've been really enjoying it. I got a good probably hour and a half yesterday. So my schedule has been kind of nuts because I've been doing inventory at Home Depot, which means I start work at 4 a.m.
Which is 3 a.m. Central Time. So it's even earlier. Yeah.
So I wake up at 3. Right now it's it's actually 3 p.m., but I've been awake for 12 hours. So I've been
like
pretty tired.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we got the we got our copies of Gimmick 2 last night, and so I had about an hour to play before I really had to just crash and go to bed. But I really enjoyed it, and I said like I said to Andreas in the interview, there's a moment in there, at least one moment in there when I was just like, oh, this is a Gimmick game. This is a Gimmick game. They did it. This is a Gimmick game. And man, I'm looking forward to just playing more. I got through to the second level, and I'm just excited to see what I feel like it's a Gimmick game and more. Like they're successfully building upon what made the first one great. Trey mentioned the star key mechanic, which is a whole new invention for this game. Really, really cool.
That kind of felt like that also kind of felt like a Celeste thing, sort of like it reminded me of that type of gameplay. But they've really modernized the game, as I said before. But just the fact that checkpoints and autosave is just checkpoints, autosave, no game overs. Like that is the future. That's why I prefer things to. I mean, even like the last Super Monkey Ball game, they did that, and that was just a huge game changer. It's just to not have lives and not have game overs, and just make it. And then you can make it as hard as you want. Just be fair with the checkpoints, and it'll stay engaging. Like that's how I like it. Like where you're doing. It's like you're separated. You just have a whole bunch of little small challenges instead of like one big giant challenge. Is what it seems like. Even though there are some parts, like I ran into, where the checkpoints do get farther apart, but that's for that specific challenge, and it just makes it much more much more approachable. And I'm going to try to get as far as I can in 2, and if I get all the way through 2, maybe I'll give 1 a chance again, because 1 was very unforgiving for me, and I just didn't have the patience at the time to get through it.
Yeah, one is such an innovator in so many regards in doing the physics on the NES, and just the great character designs and having character to their characters, having them like do unique behaviors and all this kind of stuff. It was an innovator in so many regards. The one major fault, if it can be faulted with anything, is that it didn't come out a little bit later when like checkpoints and that kind of thing were more common. So had it come out like just a couple years later, maybe it would have been what Gimmick 2 is. Just like smooth gameplay. You never so frustrating that you want to just quit. You just want to keep playing again and again, pick up the controller again and again. And I liked what we were talking about, how it being more forgiving, and you being able to pick up and try again so quickly. It allows the game to become more challenging. So that's cool. Like you infuse it with some more approachability, then you can actually make it more challenging, which sounds a little counterintuitive. Sounds a little bit like folks complain, oh, the game was too challenging before in the first one. So it was not approachable, but they just made it more approachable and more challenging at the same time. So that's cool. Yeah. So I'll have a lot more to say on Gimmick 2 next week. As I said, I only got about an hour worth it so far, but my impression very quickly was just like, they did it. This is another Gimmick game. So if you're a fan of Gimmick, go try it. If you tried the original Gimmick before, and like a lot of folks, you thought it was too challenging, don't be afraid on this one. This one they did a great job of modernizing it and making it more approachable. So I think it's going to be another classic, and I'm looking at it very high on my Game of the Year list.
Definitely.
So one other thing that I did this week, not video gaming, but gaming adjacent, was I went to a board game bar, which is really cool. It's in Ferndale, Michigan, and it's called The Corner. Just like, we've talked many times about arcade bars. This was a board game bar where they have great food, great presentation. It really is a nice, classy looking kind of place. But then beside the bar, there's this giant wall of just board games that you can rent. I think they charge like $1 for the simple games like Sorry, up to $3 to play.
They charge you for the games that are there.
You gotta rent the board games, but I understand why, because you're getting your greasy mitts all over them, and they got
sure.
Upkeep.
I've never seen that, because I've seen bars that are like board game bars, as in bars that have board games. Like the bar that I worked at, Beechwood, like we had a bunch of games there that people would play, and they did play, or we had sometimes people there. When I was working there, people would come in and play chess. Like there was a chess team that would come in and play, or or would have like events there or whatever. But we didn't charge for the games. It was just like, we have board games if you want to play them, and sometimes people do, and we had card games and stuff like that. But I guess it was we didn't have specific card games because of because the bar was started so long ago, because of the gambling possibility of possibly getting in trouble from the city for having if you have like regular cards at a bar, then that could be considered gambling, like some old Chicago rules, because this place started in like the 50s. I remember that being a thing. But we had like Monopoly and stuff like that, that people could play, but we didn't charge for it.
We actually brought our own game to the bar. It was me, my dad, Rich, and my brother-in-law Justin, and we brought our own game. We brought Dark Tower, which is another game that I've mentioned here before. And I just sent a picture to our Slack channel, so Trey, you can take a look at this our Dark Tower game and the amazing board game wall behind us. Dark Tower is a deep tabletop RPG / board game where you have a tower, as the name would indicate, at the center of the playing field, and the tower is like a computer. It actually interacts with an iPad, and it will animate, and different things will happen. It'll spit skulls out, and your job is to cleanse the land of the evil caused by the tower. It's the deepest game that I've ever played. I know there's lots of great board games out there that have a lot of depth and complication to them, but let me tell you, I mean, when I bought the game for my dad for his birthday about a year and a half ago now, I guess it was a year ago, me and my two sisters had to pitch in on it because it was like $200 for this game. He liked it so much, he went out and he bought the expansion packs, which I think cost him another $150 or so. So he basically traded in some of the cardboard pieces for nice sculpted pieces. You could show the various characters. Yeah, this is it's an investment of a board game, but we have really gotten a lot of use out of it so far. We played it enough at my dad's house, at my parents' house, at my sister's house. I felt like, let's do a little change of pace. And Rich knows the guy who runs this bar from working in the alcohol industry, and he had long suggested we go hang out there. And so we did, and it was cool. Like, they had really nice tables, not just like regular restaurant tables. They were like octagonal game tables that, of course, you could also eat at, but the place was geared toward playing board games. They also had axe throwing and a couple other things that we didn't do, but we were in the middle of our 3-hour board game. We were plenty entertained.
That's like two extremes there. It's like you can either play a board game or throw an axe. Like those are very, very different things. Like, you would really have to design your bar in two very different ways if you wanted to have an axe throwing area and a game playing area. Did they charge you for bringing your own game? Did they charge you for that?
No.
Like I don't know, a competitor's fee or something?
No. And I mean, this is like such a great concept for a bar. If you want a way to like make people stay at your bar for 3 to 4 hours, make a board game bar and have them play Dark Tower, a game that takes 3 hours minimum. And we forgot how much food we were ordering. We ordered so many rounds of pizza, beer, all that. Dad picked up the bill kindly, but man, it's a great idea. A board game bar. Well, I mean,
we had a lot of fun. I've seen them. I've seen a lot of them that exist, but they were never specifically called that. Like, even the Robot Bar by our old apartment had board games. I call it the Robot Bar because it's a non-bar bar. I don't know if you have those in Michigan, where you serve yourself. It's kind of a genius idea, but it's also like, it's a place for it. Yes. As we called it, it's a bar for people who don't like bars, is what it is. Because it's basically like, sitting at home, not having to deal with bartenders. Because there's not it's cheap if you own it, because you have to hire less people. This place was called like the Navigator or whatever it's called. It was right next to our old apartment. And you basically come in there and they give you a card, and you like scan your card at the tab at the tap, and you pour your own beers, and they charge you by the ounce. And you basically have to like have your card approved like every other round, so in case you get too drunk, they can be like, "Oh, right, your card won't work anymore. Now you have to go." But there was only one person there. Like, there's only one person working there, just checking cards at the thing. And there was a whole bunch of board games and couches and tables and stuff. And it's just basically you pour your own beer and then you hang out and play Yahtzee or whatever, So it's like, But
it's a good idea.
It's not. I mean, I didn't like it because I like bars. I'm a person, It's not for me. It's like we could do this at home for much cheaper. We could have bought a beer and just sit at home and drink a beer, and we have couches, like it was kind of, it's not really for me. But I guess for
it's true. I didn't think about that.
For rich people who want to go pay like hundreds of dollars to drink, mediocre beer, then that's you could do that. The selection wasn't great, but whatever. But yeah, there's stuff like that.
Yeah, you do kind of go to the bar because you want to like hang out and see some people, and then to have your bartender be a robot, I think.
Well, the bartender. Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, the bartender is you. So if you're mad about the pour being bad, that's your fault. You got to learn how to pour how to pour beer right. If it's all foam, then you suck at pouring beer. You
if
blame
you want
it on
the big
you.
tips from yourself, learn.
It's like you're paying your own. It's like it's pretty easy way to make money or whatever.
Oh, speaking of beer, I got to mention what I drank. They had a nice large menu, a lot of custom beers and stuff that I hadn't heard of, and the one that jumped out at me was the Octorok. So I did drink the Octorok beer, and Octoroks taste like cider, as it turns out.
Oh, so it was a cider. It wasn't an actual beer.
It was a hard cider. Yep.
Okay, so it's a cider. It's Octorok cider. Yeah, I was curious. What is it?
No, I think it was. I think it was actually a beer. It had a beery flavor, but it was like cider flavored beer.
Well, because there's ciders and there's beers, and they're different.
Yep.
So it's probably.
I don't know what it was. It was an Octorok.
Yeah, I was curious because I don't know. I've seen some video game themed beers, but most of the time they're IPAs, and I don't want those. So it varies. But no, that's cool. Yeah, and as far, I guess I'll say one thing that, because most of the stuff I'll talk about with Jeremy, and I haven't done a whole lot, but I did actually organize my video game cables, like my AV cables and whatnot. So I don't know if you can tell, but over here there normally was a big box standing here, and now it's gone in the corner over here.
Now it's gone.
So it was basically just filled with just random AV cables for Genesis, PlayStation, GameCube, various things. And I just went through and I put them all in bags and labeled all the bags, and now they're in my file cabinets over here. So I have a bag that's just USB plugs, little plugs that have USB slots on them or whatever.
There must be something in the air, because I did the exact same thing last week. I just organized all my plugs and cables, USB, put them in a bag. Yep.
Well, basically, this is something I've been wanting to do for a while. I just haven't sat down to do it. And I just got these file cabinets that I had at my mom's house that I used to keep comics in, but I took all the comic books out of them and put them in boxes. And I have I was planning on, so I have, there's four pockets here, or 4 shelves or whatever. And one of them holds my actual files, and the other one is I put my strategy guides and stuff, stuff I'd want to get my hands on or whatever. I put my Wizard magazines in there too. And then the other one was just going to be my video game cords, random extra cords, and then the other one was an overflow DVD thing is what I ended up using it for. But what inspired it, and I'll talk about it later too, was that my TV over here is kind of broken. My HD TV isn't working right now. And
again?
It'll turn on for about 10 minutes and then it'll go black again, but you can still hear the audio. But it's got to be some problem with the backlight, or I don't know. It's kind of do I bother getting it fixed, or I just get another one? HD TVs are cheap. I could buy one the same size for $150, which isn't bad.
You got 18 years of use out of that one, didn't you?
I got it. Well, I looked it up. I got it in 2009, so I've had it for 15 years about. I got it around the time of when Super Mario. It was the first HD TV I ever bought. So think about that. So it was 2009. That was around when I moved to the last apartment I was at. So I got a good 15 years out of it. I'll probably just get a different one, because I'll probably just get a bigger version of the other TV that I have in my other room, because that one has multiple HDMI plugs on it. And it's got it's already set up with all the apps. It's an internet TV. It's already got Amazon Prime on it and all that. I'll probably just get another one of those. And they're pretty cheap. And like I said, it's already connected to, it's already got the internet in it and all that. And you can stream to it. You don't need a Chromecast, that sort of thing. That's what I figured I'd get. But what inspired me going through the box was I was trying to find my, I thought that I had an HDMI to AV adapter, which I didn't actually. I had an AV adapter to HDMI, which I forgot that I had. But anyway, I was trying to find a way to play my Switch on my old TV. So I ordered So I basically ordered like a $10 HDMI to AV adapter just so I can still stream stuff in here and not have to buy a new TV right now because, we got expenses for the month and all that with travel and whatnot. So yeah, that's what I did. So I'm playing HD and SD. That's going to be my nickname. Playing HD games on a standard definition tube TV, which is actually kind of cool. I was playing Bakeru on it and it felt like I had discovered an old GameCube game that I didn't know about. You can make yourself think that you're playing it on an old system even though you're playing on a new system. So it's kind of fun. And actually, Gimmick 2 looks good on it. I played Gimmick 2 on the tube TV, and I thought it looked all right. Like some stuff looks kind of squished because you can't do like 4x3 anymore because people don't normally play new systems on old TVs. But for some reason, the aspect ratio looks okay on Gimmick 2. It doesn't look squished. Like everything else looks kind of squished, because it isn't 16:9. But for like stuff like the main reason I got it was so I could stream Marvel vs. Capcom tonight, which when that comes out, which hopefully it comes out tonight because Shake and I we're going to do a stream for it. But I just want to be able to still play it. And for games like that, you can stretch it, but if you stretch it on a tube TV, it looks right. So you can actually 16:9 things, but it won't look weird because it's actually a 4x3, whatever. So yeah, that's what I've been doing, I guess, as far as that goes. But Jeremy and I will talk about whatever other games we got and whatever news we remember to get to.
And I'll be jumping out, as I mentioned, difficult schedule this week. So that'll be the case for the next 2 weeks or so after this. But I'll see everybody next week.
And that was that interview.
That was funny.
Yeah.
I like when you were like, this interview's done, and everybody just was quiet.
I might have said that. I don't remember. So John is on a crazy schedule, so we're going to have to, I don't know how it's kind of going to be, the next few weeks is going to be interesting for this podcast. So we'll either, I don't know, there might be like half and half, or he might not be on next week. I don't know. We'll see. You, the listener, you get to, be like, hey, this is exciting because we don't know what's happening on NintenDomain. That's what you get to look forward to.
Life's a little crazy for 2/3 of us.
Yeah. Also, we still gotta come to Champaign and do all that stuff. So I do have to travel
at the
end of the month, but not crazy yet. I mean, my schedule's pretty boring still, but yeah. But anyway, I talked to John earlier about what games he's been playing, but I didn't get to talk to you about what games that you've been playing, games that we got, and games that we've been playing for the week. So why don't you just go ahead and talk about what you got on there? What you've been actually? Well, sure. Before we get to that, I just want to mention I forgot to. You just got under the wire last week, but last week I posted a question about what everybody was excited about for September games, and we got a response from Hutch, but it was right after we had already started recording, so I wasn't able to read it last week, but I'm gonna read it now. And Hutch said, "Plucky Squire, Beyond Galaxyland, and Reynatus. Fingers crossed, they're all great." So I'm curious. I'm really curious about Reynatus because that's I think that's a Falcom game. It looks similar to Ys, and Beyond Galaxyland looks okay. And Plucky Squire
is supposed to be. Isn't Reynatus supposed to be kind of like Persona, or am I thinking of something else?
I thought it looked kind of like Ys, like it was kind of like an action.
What is Falcom's though?
Yeah, it looked like an action RPG to me, but I think it takes place in the city. Maybe, I don't know. I have the demo of it, but I haven't played it. But I've seen people talk about it. Or maybe I'm confusing it with the Tokyo Xanadu. No, it's still in the city. You're still running around Tokyo and killing people in an action sort of way. I don't know. It looks interesting. So, but it's also like it's coming out like the same week as Echoes of Wisdom, which I did buy I bought my Nintendo vouchers. So,
nice.
I basically got Echoes of Wisdom and Mario Party Jamboree. Got them ready to go. Paid for them. Yeah. Paid for them now. Pay for it now to get it out of the way. So I got my next 2 months taken care of. And I already preloaded Marvel vs. Capcom Collection, which is going to be out in minutes. And less than an hour from now. So I'm excited to get.
So we got to kind of rush this along.
I figured we wouldn't go too much longer than an hour, but anyway, yeah. Thanks for writing in, Hutch, and I hope all those games are good as well. And I'll be interested to hear what you think of them and all that. But yeah, let's talk about what have you been doing since last week.
Sure. I mean, I can get the game stuff out of the way pretty quick because mostly I've just been playing. I mean, I'm still just sticking to playing what I already have, but I reloaded. Why do I forget the name of the game now? Never mind. I won't talk about it unless I remember the name. Oh, Deathloop. There we go.
Let's say, what do
Deathloop,
you do in it? It's like explain to me the actions that you do in the game, and I can try to guess
I put Deathloop back on my PS5 because it's one of the few games that I
that you can't
purchased or whatever. I can
Yeah.
still play it. Yeah. So I threw it on there just because I remember I was having a lot of fun with it, and then got distracted, and then ended up deleting it because I didn't have space. But yeah, it's still a really fun game. So I was playing that for a bit this week. It's the one where it's like Groundhog Day, the FPS, and you can like go to different parts and like have different start spots and different loadouts, but like you have to pick what time of day and all this stuff. So it's not like real time in the sense that you just go there at different times of the day, and then that's the chunk of time you're there. So anyway, I played that, but the other thing, of course, I keep playing Peglin because I love that game.
How's that going?
I think Peglin's going to probably, there's a good chance it's going to be on a list this year.
Yeah. I've been playing, well, I played I played Peglin for a long time, and I keep dying a lot. I've kind of honestly started to get sick of dying, so I haven't played it at all this week. Well, I played a little bit, but not as much. Are you getting the hang of it? Have you figured out more stuff? Can you give me pointers?
Yeah, so I'm at I've got the whatever the ball is, level 3. So I beat it a few more times, or I finished my runs a few times since last week, and I beat like I haven't run into a boss that I haven't beaten yet.
Yeah.
So like in some capacity or another, I've beaten that boss at some point, so that's cool.
Yeah, I've beaten a bunch of them, but sometimes it's like most of these games. Like you get a really really good build, and then you go through it again, and you have a shitty build, and then you get beat by the slime in the first level, and it's like, what?
Oh, true.
So. So it's kind of,
or you think you have a nice build, but you actually kind of fucked yourself. Like I did something recently where I made all my pegs like to where it takes 3 hits to get rid of them, but then it made it so where I could never get my refresh peg, and I just got fucked.
Oh yeah.
Even though I was like getting a ton of points because I had another one that was like adding points each time they would go away. So they were like getting to where they were worth a ton of points, but I couldn't get down to the refresh to like to like bring back the stuff I needed. But anyway, I did want to say last week, I was like, I could just use AirPlay, and that works great. That's what I've been doing. That's how I've been playing it this week.
Okay.
If I'm not just playing it on the bus,
and you don't really,
I'll just throw AirPlay on, and it works great.
And you don't need to be like, you're just aiming a thing and pressing a button. Like you don't really need to be like rhythm on point or whatever for it, right?
There is some timing stuff for sure. Like if you're taking certain shots.
Oh yeah,
that'll
yeah,
be
yeah,
timing
for
based.
sure. Well,
the
ones that move,
right?
Yeah.
Then I just look down at my phone, and that's where I do the precision shot because it's on the screen the whole time. I'm looking at the big screen, and I've gotten to the point where my iPhone's just like a controller while I play it. I'm not even looking at it because I've kind of memorized where all the spots are I need to hit. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, on the big screen, it's a lot more fun to play. So that's been kind of my poison of choice this week. And like I said, I've been riding the bus and stuff a lot too. So it's a great game to play on the bus and, put it in pause and come back to it. And it's so good. It just makes me really nostalgic for Peggle, and maybe I'll go back to Peggle eventually, but this is just such a cool take on it.
I was working on a thing on Saturday night, and we had some downtime, and I was kind of like just waiting for the next shot to get set up, and I played Peglin for a little bit, but I kind of got tired of it, and I was like I should try to get Peggle, and the only thing I can get is Peggle Blast, which I remember that's why I stopped playing that, because Peggle Blast was the thing that was kind of riddled with microtransactions and all that. That's the one that I played on the phone that sucked. It wasn't Peggle 2, it was Peggle Blast. And that's the only thing that's available for the iPhone as far as I know. And I did try to get Peggle for the DS on the emulator even, and I could not get a ROM that worked on the DS emulator. And I looked at a bunch of different places, but some stuff would either not download or it wasn't the right ROM type, so it wouldn't load it or whatever. But I did actually end up playing a lot of True Swing Golf, the best golf game on DS still. I love that game. That game's awesome. It always looked kind of hideous when it came out, but the control is so good. Like it controls better than any other golf game.
So visuals aren't everything.
I love that game. But yeah, I was playing on my phone with the DS app, just all touchscreen, because the whole game is all touchscreen controlled, so you don't need buttons. So it's just like it's a breeze to play it on your phone, and it feels like you're playing an app, but you're not. You're playing a DS game on your phone. So I played that.
Yeah, though, I mean, other than messing around with the Peglin on the big screen, I've played quite a bit of that. That's been the game I've played whenever I've had downtime. But other than that, the other thing I've been doing is I am actually going to play some music at the wedding, and I've been putting my set together.
Oh, you
And
got a
let's just
set
say,
too now.
let's just say there might be video game stuff involved. And I've been getting a bunch of ideas this week, and I've been trying to like put some stuff together, and I think it's going to be pretty cool.
When do you play? Are you
I don't
to the
remember.
beginning or towards the end, or well, I mean the schedule keeps changing, right? Or is it more,
Probably towards. I think
Or
I'm
is-
like more towards the middle. Yeah,
or is it more like is it more concrete now?
it's like more towards the middle. And I'm going to be on the small stage, so I'm going to be using the equipment I'm already familiar with. So we're going to be using like my karaoke speaker and stuff. So I'm essentially going to be doing like a. I mean, it's going to be a music set, but it's going to be also some karaoke type elements.
Are you gonna
So-
do? Are you gonna do the fish song again? The swimming, the Mario Brothers swimming song that you did.
Oh no way!
I was gonna say,
Do it all new.
I don't think you're bringing back any of the old classics.
I also got my hair cut, so wedding's getting real.
Oh yeah, you went. Your hair, my hair might be longer than yours now. Your hair was like
My hair
so
is-
long too.
It was
You like
crazy.
you
how
like
much
you had
they
it
cut
to
off.
you had it to your butt, right? Almost like all the way to the
Not
butt
quite
or
there,
waist.
but it was pretty far down. Yeah, it was like the middle of my back, but
Yeah, because my
it
hair
was
is,
getting kind of ratty. I wasn't taking good care of it, and
my hair's longer.
we just
than
wanted
yours
to look
now.
nicer for the wedding. Yeah, probably.
I make sure to brush it every day because if you don't, it really gets out of hand.
It's
I'm
true.
telling you, it gets real. Yeah,
You skip it one day, it's fucked.
yeah, it gets real. It gets real shitty if you skip a day.
So yeah, I wasn't
That's what
good with
I've learned.
long hair. So, but also it's not that short, so it'll grow back.
Yeah,
if I
it's
want to.
it's still there. You still got shoulder length or whatever.
Mm-hmm. So just been that's been the thing this week. Just working on the last details of how I'm going to implement my video game ideas into the wedding, and then all that kind of stuff, and then also just organizing the last minute details, all that fun stuff, food and beer and
Yeah, lots of stuff.
all the stuff I'm in charge of.
Yeah.
But it's going to be great, and I'm really excited about it. So that's basically been my week.
Yeah, the last of your wedding present is supposed to come this week to me.
Dang.
So I'm excited about it. Hopefully you will. I don't know. Are you guys going to have like a table where you leave stuff at, or like, I don't know, because we kind of had that.
I think so.
We had like a thing where you put gifts in, but I want to like, I want you guys to actually like look at it and talk to me about it or whatever. Maybe I can just give it to you early or something on Friday.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Oh yeah, I mean we'll be hanging out beforehand. Yeah, I don't know exactly how that all is going to work. To be honest, I haven't really thought a lot about the gifts part. I'm just like wanting to get
Done with it.
the ceremony done, which we
Yeah.
picked up our license and stuff this week, so
Yeah,
it's
I
getting
saw that.
real.
Saw that. Doesn't mean you're married yet, though. Gotta have somebody.
No,
sign
it doesn't. We have
Turn it
60
back in.
days or the license is invalid.
Oh yeah, they give you 60 days.
That's how it works.
60-day
You have
limit,
60
yeah.
days from the time you get it and it has to be within the county that you get the license.
Sure. I remember. I mean, it's been almost 5 years since we did it, so I kind of forgot how it worked. I was like, "Are you married already?" I was like, "No, I guess you have to. Yeah, you gotta have somebody sign it and then take it back. Like that's. You do need to know you can't just go there and have it done. I guess you still need a person to, whatever, sign it off.
I mean, that's literally
That
it, though.
sort of
It's get the person to sign it and bring it back, and then that's the end of it. So it really is just a matter of filling out like one page of paperwork at this point.
Yeah. Did you get any of the other classes on Peglin? Have you unlocked anything else, or are you just still doing the
No,
regular?
I haven't been able to figure that out. I've been trying my hardest. I've been trying to get the Bulwark 100 or whatever it
Yeah,
is
you
they
got
say, and
You got to get like crazy numbers of stuff. I've kind of tried doing it too, but I'm there's no way I'd ever get that high of ball work, or I'm not even really sure. I know you get it for
I've
certain,
even been trying
like,
to like combine, because
Yeah.
you can stack the effects. I've been trying to stack things and
yeah, it's like you get it for certain.
doing what I can.
You get it for certain like whatever for certain
Conditions
orbs
you need.
orbs and like stuff you can equip or whatnot. But I've never got up that high.
That's one of the reasons I keep playing it too. Other than obviously it's just fun and addictive, but I'm trying to learn how to play it, and I'm trying to different strategies and stuff that I used to just skip over before, like a lot of the stuff where it hurts you. I would skip
oh,
that
yeah.
originally, but
Yeah,
now I've started like picking that stuff too because I'm like, well, maybe there's something I'm missing here, and so far not really, but I know it's all about how you stack your stuff.
The
The
self-infliction,
rhythms.
yeah.
Uh-huh. But I also have gotten better about like going through the map, sort of plotting out my path as best as I can, instead of just randomly choosing stuff like I was before.
You can also like you can get stuff. You can get stuff equipped that'll actually like make it to where you don't hurt yourself or you hurt yourself less.
Yeah,
Like there's stuff I've seen for that'll like half it or take it away or whatever. So you can do stuff to.
and then you can also do like where every time you get harmed, the enemies will get harmed too. So self harm will also hurt the enemies, which is also
I haven't done that. My favorite thing, I said it last week. My favorite thing was like whenever they attack you, they get attacked 7 times the amount of that you got attacked, and it attacks everybody at once. It's called like the Card of Ruin or something, and it's red. Or no, it's like the Ring of Ruin. That was like my favorite thing I've seen, and I've gotten it twice, so it was cool. But
the one you were talking about last week, where it shoots out 2 copies, but you only have like 4 directions to choose from. Like that's the one that I've watched. Once you get that, it's like pretty much the win button if you play it right.
Oh yeah, I got pretty far with it. I haven't used it because I hated not being able to aim. But I mean, I guess it doesn't matter because it
but doubling up your shots,
because it automatically doubles your. And if you have a multi-ball, then you can even do more than just double on there. Yeah, I was like when you were talking about mirroring it to the TV, I was like, I could do that, and I'm like, oh wait a second, you have it on Switch, you dummy. You don't need to do that.
Right?
You can already put it on the TV.
Well, I've actually, and I haven't gotten around to it yet, but I was like, what if I hooked a controller to the iPhone? Could I play it with the controller on the TV? I probably could, but I think it works fine the way I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I'm essentially just looking at the TV and approximating where my thumb goes based on the TV, and it's working so far.
I would think that, because I was actually having a hard time with the app because it's kind of finicky about where you press your foot or the way you press your thumb to fire the thing. Because sometimes if I miss it just a little bit, then the aim will switch all the way to the right. Have you had that happen? That's really annoying.
Oh yeah,
I don't like that.
Yeah, or you'll have it like in a very precise location, and then like you go to hit fire and it's moved. You're like, why did it move? So you put it back, and you go to fire and it's moved back.
And it goes all the way right again. Yeah, because it won't register that you hit the fire button. Like that's really annoying, and I could see that being a problem trying to play it on the TV and whatnot.
No more than it is on the phone, I guess. So, in that respect, it is what it is. I'm mirroring my phone. There's a slight delay, but this game, it doesn't matter as much. So it's a good use of that feature. And who ever thought, one day we could just shoot our phones to the TV? It's pretty cool.
Been doing that for a while since Chromecast, I guess. Well, I mean, if you
I guess so, but
I mean, I've seen people say it like with the new Apple advertisement where it's like, hey, Apple can finally do things that Androids did 10 years ago.
It's true.
But no, I mean, speaking, like when we first got a Chromecast, if you had like a Google phone, you could mirror your phone to your TV like years ago through Chromecast and play games on there, and there wasn't really a delay either. But I mean, but that was its own like technology working with itself or whatever, so it probably works better.
Yeah.
But speaking of TVs, if you're done with what you've been doing,
yeah, I'm done.
Speaking of TVs, I'm pretty sure my TV is officially broken back here. This one.
Oh no!
I got it. Well, I got it to turn on last week. I unplugged it for a while, and then I turned it back on, and it ran for about like 10, 15 minutes, and then it goes black again, and the music is still playing through it. And I did the same thing on Monday. I was trying to, actually. We ended up not streaming because Joe wasn't feeling well, and also it's like my TV wasn't working anyway. So it was like I tried to get the TV to turn on, and I got it to turn on, and I played around with it for about 10 minutes, and then it stopped, and then it goes black, but you can still hear the audio through it. So there's got to be some sort of like backlight issue or whatever. I don't know. It's the oldest TV. It was the oldest HD TV that I have. My tube TV is obviously older than that, but it's the first HD TV that I ever got. I got it on a Black Friday deal in 2009 because I had just moved into my apartment. It was right when Super Mario Brothers Wii had just come out, new Super Mario Brothers, because I remember playing it on there. So I've had it for like, I don't know,
15 years.
15 years or so. So,
and it's probably gotten thousands and thousands of hours of on time.
And I thought about it. I could just because I really like the TV that I bought over here on my double TV that I have in the basement, like the Insignia. It's like a Best Buy brand or whatever. I thought about just getting a bigger version of that, and you can buy those for like $150, which I think is pretty cheap for a 40-inch HD TV.
Yeah.
So I was like, whenever I get some extra money, I'll just buy that. But in the meantime, I just bought an HDMI to AV adapter from Amazon for like $10, and that's what I'm playing right now. I'm gonna play Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection on my tube TV through the Switch, and it's actually, I don't know, it's kind of silly. I was playing Bakeru on there, and it made me feel like I was playing a secret GameCube game that I didn't know about. That I was like, oh yeah, look at this, because it feels.
Are you able to change the aspect ratio or whatever? Like,
no.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
Okay.
well, the Switch, because the Switch is a modern system, it doesn't let you do 4:3. But if you're playing old games like Marvel vs. Capcom, you can just do the zoom function, which would normally be
Okay.
stretched, but it'll actually make it look normal on your TV.
So you like double click and then zoom in on it and then play that way.
No. If you do the double click, you actually can't use your buttons if you try to do that.
Oh,
But,
that's true.
But no, I'm talking about in the options for any of the old arcade re-releases. They let you do the stretch where you stretch it from 4:3 to 16:9. But if you're using it on a 4:3, you could stretch it to 16:9 and it looks normal because it's not stretched
It
anymore
squishes it back
because
to
it
4:3.
is. Yeah, it
Okay.
switches it back to whatever the format is.
Interesting.
But I played Gimmick 1 and Gimmick 2 on there, and those actually look pretty good. They don't look that squished. I don't know why. Like Gimmick 2 actually looked really good on the TV. So,
Do you find that the adapter works well? Like, are you noticing no lag or whatever?
no, I
Lag's always
played through a level of Bakeru on there, and I played through the first couple levels of Gimmick 2 on there also. Which you have that on Steam, right? Have you been able to play it at all?
So I got it working, but I haven't been able to play much of it because I can't get a controller to pair up
Oh
for
no.
some reason. I only tried for like 30 minutes to be fair. I didn't go through my full gamut of controllers, but I was trying to get a controller to work with it because it recommends that you use a controller. And then I played for maybe 10 or 15 minutes with the keyboard, and that it's not meant to be played that way.
Yeah, I can imagine it being pretty hard trying to
So
play
I did at least get to like see it in motion, and it's a beautiful, bright, cartoony looking game. I want to play it, so I'm gonna keep working on it this week and get it to work with a controller. But it looks great. I definitely want to play it.
Yeah, I played about the first and a level and a half. Like I played through to the first boss, and I played about halfway through the second level probably. I actually like it. I mean, I like it better than Gimmick 1, and I said this earlier in the interview. I like it better because it's more approachable, because there's a whole bunch of checkpoints all over the place, and there's infinite lives, there's no game overs, which I think all games should be like that now in the future. And you just go from checkpoint to checkpoint. It feels very much like Celeste, actually. It feels like Gimmick meets Celeste, like that sort of thing, so I do like
cool.
it. And it's, David Wise did the soundtrack. The soundtrack is really good. It's a nice looking game, so I definitely recommend checking it out.
The beginning part with the water physics and stuff, it looked really nice with the bright cartoony graphics and everything. It's a very appealing looking game. I would like to play it on the Switch eventually, but I will play what I have already for now.
Yeah, it's very approachable. Like I said, it's easier to play. Like Gimmick 1, like right off the bat, kind of like just drops you in a pit, and it's like haha, and it's like oh okay, and then you
I
gotta
didn't do so great with that one.
You gotta save state and rewind. It's much better. It's much nicer, and not that this one isn't hard, because what they said in the interview, they said that Gimmick 2 is actually harder than Gimmick 1, but because there's a lot more checkpoints and infinite lives and all that, they can make it harder, and it's still very playable and all that. So
is it based off of an unreleased game, or is it something they just did?
No, this was actually Gimmick 2 was actually in development before they did the re-release of Gimmick 1. Like, this is something that the main developer had been working on for years and really wanted to do, and then finally they got the ability to do it. And they'd been working on it since 2021 or something. Like, it was like for a few years. So, actually might even before that. I don't know. I watched the IGN documentary, and they made it sound like they worked on it through the pandemic, like even starting before 2020. So it's been a thing going for a while. But yeah, no, it is like a sequel to Gimmick, and they try to, have the personality of Gimmick, and it does, and it has some of like the characters that like move on their own in different ways and all that. Like a lot of the a lot of the stuff that you expect from the first game is in there as well. It's just been modernized. Now it doesn't have, like I said, it doesn't have game overs. It has unlimited lives, and it has checkpoints now. But it's to where you can just do that, where you get to play like one hard section a bunch of times, and then once you beat that, you get to another hard section, and you go through, and everything auto saves and all that. It works great. So I recommend it. But this game actually, the way this game runs a lot like the other game that I've been playing a lot, and that is Bakeru, which is made by Good Feel, made by Ibisu, who you might recognize his name because Ibisu Maru from Goemon was based off of him. He developed those games as well. The Mystical Ninja games. They did a new game called Bakeru on Switch. I talked about it last week, but I've been playing a lot of it. I think I'm almost done with it. I was going to try to beat it by today, but I found out that there's like 10 more levels. Like I read somewhere that there was 50 levels, and I made it to 50 levels, and then I looked at a walkthrough, and there's like 64 levels, so I have like another like 14 levels to go through, or whatever. But the game is really fun. I'm planning on 100%ing it, because I've been finding all of the little trivia guys. The little turd dude, his name's Scoop. He looks like a little poop thing,
Poop emoji.
But yeah, but I like his trivia stuff. It's always fun. You learn all sorts of weird shit about like what the highest zip code is in Japan, or where the longest highway is, and all this other weird dumb shit that hopefully will help you in a future bar trivia thing or something. Probably not, but
maybe in my future trip to Japan.
Yeah, but there's some fun fun stuff in there. Like what was it? I learned that the guy, the little exit guy, the little figure that you see on like exit signs or whatever, like they call him Mr. Picto. He was developed in Japan. Oh, even cooler. Eyeglass, the nose things for your eyeglasses was developed in Japan also. That was invented in Japan originally.
Wow.
Like the nose piece for the glass. So yeah, you get to learn fun stuff like that. But it's very much a me game. It kind of reminds me of that party game that Jess and I used to play, Billion Road, where it's like kind of like Mario Party, but you're going through all of Japan, and you're going through all these different areas, and when you go to different places, it talks about like the exports and the different things that they do there. That's kind of how this game is. It's like a 3D platformer that takes place in actual Japan, but then it does all the extra mystical stuff about it or whatever, and it's like a make-believe Japan, but it's like, what if we exaggerate all this stuff? But it's like, we're in this area. This area is like a place where they make oranges, so let's make this level an orange factory, like where there's all these conveyor belts and stuff and giant boxes of oranges, like stuff like that. They'll make everything like fit with whatever town you're in, and you get little souvenirs that you collect in the levels that represent that area that you're at. And it's just really cool, and you basically get to go through all of Japan. There's a whole bunch of big boss battles that you played on the demo. Like you get your robot guy about 20 levels in, but I've probably done like maybe 10 robot battles like with that robot. So it's not like you only do it like once. You get to do it a bunch of times. There's races. There's like Star Fox type like shoot 'em up 3D stuff. There's like stuff where you're on a boat where you do like water races and regular road races and like different stuff like that. And there's these like parade levels where the level like kind of scrolls on its own, kind of like old Mario games would, And actually, I think this was in New Super Mario Brothers, new whatever it was. What do you call it? Mario 3D World on Wii U. Like there were some levels like that. It's kind of like that, where the thing kind of moves on its own, and if you don't move quick enough, you die. But this game also has infinite lives. You automatically save whenever you collect any of the souvenirs or the trivias or anything like that. And it's just a lot of fun. Like I've died plenty of times, and all it does is it takes like 100 coins away from you. That's what happens, and then you come back to life. It's like, I guess that's the same thing that Mario Odyssey did as well. But I've been having a lot of fun with it, and I was planning on beating it by this week, but I'll have it probably beat by next week. But your main character is a Tanuki. Who's transformed into a character that looks like Goemon, which is kind of funny because that's how they can be like, oh, here he is, And you actually, there's a whole thing in the game where you have to find these other Tanukis within the levels, And they're like, since they're tanukis, they can turn into different things. So they're actually disguised as like objects in the game. So you have to go around. It'll be like, hey, there's a hidden tanuki in this level somewhere, and they won't tell you where it is. So you'll have to find like maybe like a mailbox that has a tail on it or something like that, or you'll find like a chair that has like a little raccoon face on it, something that will like let you know that it's like it looks a little bit different from the other things, or like maybe it's a little smaller snowman that looks like a tanuki or whatever, and you find it like that, and that's been fun too, just to go through there. And I've been getting like there was maybe 2 that I looked online about, and that wasn't for the tanukis. That was actually for the for some of the trivia guys that I couldn't find. There was like 2 of them I looked up, but most of them I've just been finding on my own, just because it's fun to just go through the level and just try to find the stuff. And yeah, it's been a great game. Like that one's definitely going to be on my list for the year. I've been really enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. There's some levels that are kind of like a little too big for the Switch, where it gets a little framey, but I don't know, it's still cool. Like they're trying to do a lot of shit. Like some of these levels are really big. Like they're like the way they're connected from one thing to another. But they do really, really interesting stuff. Oh yeah, there was like there's a couple like roller coaster levels that I went on where you get on a roller coaster and everybody kind of comes to you and you fight them while you're on your roller coaster and you go in loop-de-loops and stuff. Like that was cool too. But yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of variety to the game is what I'm saying. Like one thing or another. And I've been having a lot of fun with it. So yeah, Bakeru. I'm planning on getting all the way through probably by next week, but it's still, once I started playing, I just kind of didn't play anything else. Kind of just took a hold of me. I mean, I played Gimmick last night just for the interview, and I did beat Real Bout Fatal Fury Special as just another leverless arcade beat thing, but I'm going to I'll be hitting that too once Marvel vs. Capcom Collection comes out in 25 minutes.
Back to the leverless.
But that's it for me. I guess I looked at I've just been learning more shortcuts for that. I was fucking around with I was watching this video on the fastest way to do a dragon punch, where you can do it almost as one button. So I kind of was fucking around with that on the leverless. So I'm still kind of falling into that rabbit hole of the the different secrets and stuff that you can do. But this one's pretty quick. It's like you press 3 buttons, but you can do them so quick that it feels like you're just pressing one button and then you do your uppercut. And yeah, it's pretty cool. You can do it on cool. You can do it on most of the games. So yeah, I've been kind of fucking around with that. But why don't we just do a quick news thing?
News. Don't snooze or you miss the news.
I mean, we already kind of have a hour some in the can from earlier, so let's just talk about the news for the week. The big news, of course, it's not Nintendo, but we'll still talk about it anyway, is PlayStation had whatever they call them. It wasn't, I forget what all they call their different video things. It's not the PlayStation Presents.
Yeah, this wasn't State of Play, because State of Play is
that's what I was trying to think of. Yeah,
but this was like a specific hardware presentation by whoever the lead architect is of the lead engineer or whatever of the architecture of the software.
Yeah, they just called it the technical presentation is what it was.
There you
called.
go. And the last time there was one of these was when they announced the PS5 or whatever. So it was pretty much okay, here comes PS5 Pro. Why else would this person be talking? And that's exactly what happened.
And this had been rumored for a long time. I had seen all sorts of rumors all over the place about
3
the
years
PS5 Pro. Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah,
they were thinking it was going to come out 2022. I think originally.
I feel like I've seen announcements of PS5 Pro at least as long as you've had one. Haven't you had one for over a year? How many years have you?
I got mine in early 2023, so yeah, I've had it for about a year and a half.
Yeah, I know I at least saw it since you got it, and probably before that, people talking about the PS5 Pro and all that stuff.
And just since I got mine, they re-released a smaller version of the PS5, so that's already happened. It was just not an official announcement or whatever. They just made them all smaller as the base model. So I did see it's kind of funny, but because this new version, which is $700 by the way, and it's kind of getting lambasted across the board as
this one they added racing stripes on it, and I think that's the big deal is that it's got racing stripes. It's got
it's kind of it's
got those black lines on the side.
I agree with a lot of people that there's still not much that's specific to the PS5 that proves that you have to have a PS5. nearly everything can still be played on the PS4. So now they're going to have the PS5 Pro. So there's really just like with like, and I've seen it repeated. Like, so this is not an original thought, but something like GTA 6. Maybe it's going to require the PS5 Pro.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people talk about that. I mean, maybe it'll just run better, and PS5 will have like the the stop motion backgrounds that you see in a lot of games, like that sort of thing, or maybe it'll load quicker. I don't know, but I mean, I guess a lot of people are saying that they don't really see the need for it. But I'm sure eventually. But you know what? I never really saw the need for PlayStation 4 Pro, and there was one of those. I don't really know what the difference was in that. I have a regular because whenever the PS4,
I think it was that it outputted it in HDMI because I don't think the original PS4.
or
Not HDMI. I'm sorry. I mean 4K.
I was gonna say HDMI. It has an HDMI plug.
No, I meant 4K resolution. So like, I think the Pro is when 4K resolution became like native to the PlayStation architecture.
Yeah, I guess I don't really know that much about that. I thought it did just because we both have 4K TVs, and I thought that I don't know. I couldn't even really. You could show me two TVs and tell me one of them's 4K and one of them's 1080, and I wouldn't really be able to tell the difference.
I saw a big difference in like, I played a few games on the PS4 and then the PS5, and there's a huge difference. But the biggest difference,
it's a loading time, right?
Other than the graphics, yeah. Other than the graphics, like which you'll get over so quick, it's the loading time exactly. So maybe they're just making the loading times even shorter. And the thing is, like, this comes with 2 terabytes of onboard memory, which is a lot.
That's good.
It's still not that much.
What do you normally get? Like, what did you get for your regular?
Mine
PS5?
was a terabyte.
Okay, at least you got that, and it's not like because I think my PS5 or my PS4 was like 500 gigs or something like that. It wasn't even a terabyte. So
I think mine is also like 512 or whatever. But no, it's like it's 2 terabytes, and it does not have a disk drive. Like there will not be a model that has a built-in disk drive. So you have to buy the disk drive separately, and the disk drive is officially sold out. Like people like went into a panic and bought up all the disk drives in the past day.
I saw people talking about that actually online, being like, "Hey, buy disk drives now before the Pro launches," and I guess people did. People did do that.
Yeah, so those are all been bought up at the moment. So anybody like anticipating getting a PS5 Pro that doesn't already have a disk drive, well, now you got to worry about that too. But I don't know. I've only used my disk drive twice since I've had it, and that was to load up Cyberpunk because I bought that, and then I didn't even have to like use a disk drive for games I bought digital on the PS4 because it just would upgrade them automatically. So yeah, I did that for Cyberpunk, and then I did it for once or twice we watched a DVD on it.
You got to keep it so you can still watch Blu-rays.
No, I know, and it's cool. Like we have that ability. Like, and I'm happy. When I bought it, I made a point that I wanted the one with the disc, even though it was like $100 more or whatever.
Well, sure, because
I knew that was more future proof.
I mean, I guess not so much for PlayStation because a lot of their stuff does go on sale a lot, but for a lot of physical stuff you can get pretty cheap, even though their digital stuff goes real cheap. But if it was like on the Nintendo side, a lot of times you can get physical stuff cheaper than you would digital for Nintendo, official merchandise or whatever. So I don't
foresee like a complete physical game being a thing anymore after the PS5 Pro comes out. Like, I don't think it really is anymore, but I'm saying on PlayStation specifically, like if they're developing for a system that doesn't have a disk drive, then even if you buy the disc with the disk drive, it's probably going to still have to download a bunch of shit,
Oh yeah. It's got the massive install, and PlayStation 4 had that too, and I think PlayStation 5 even more, right? Like,
I think even PS3 has.
Isn't like some of those, like I've heard some of those games having like multiple 100 gig installs or whatever for, even with the disc.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons I've gotten rid of so many games because they're so huge. Like, it's easier to just delete them and download them when you feel like playing them later, and it takes a couple hours or whatever. But when I wanted to play, I knew I wanted to play Deathloop again, so I started downloading it last night before I went to bed. You just kind of got to play it accordingly. What
I would always do for the PS3 also, because of the PlayStation Plus and the free games, just do like the download cancel, where you just download it for 2 seconds and then cancel it, so it'll be saved as a download, and then you can download it whenever you want. Like for
nice.
for the stuff that's and they still do that with the PlayStation Plus regular, whatever the beginner mode is, or whatever you want to call it. When you get the stuff that only is where you get like 3 games a month, but if you don't download it within that month, you don't get it later. So you still need to do the download cancel, and then you can download it later. And you don't even need the space for it. You just need it to know that you downloaded it for a second or whatever.
But anyway, I think a bunch of people are going to be getting this fall, and
you think so? You think people will get it?
General consensus that it's
I mean, I think like the tech
cool, whatever.
I think the tech heads will. But I don't think a big percentage of PlayStation 5 owners will upgrade to it.
No, I don't either. And it's only going to be if it's like with the new 3DS or whatever, where there's like some stuff doesn't work. And then all of a sudden now with this new software releases, they're not going to do that though, by the way, because we've already seen that with the PS4. Like they have too big of an install base. They don't want to like alienate like 85% of their install base to make it only playable on one thing.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I saw that like 40% of the PlayStation owners still use PS4, or still playing on PS4. So I mean, that's myself. I'm one of those people. I know Logan from our Wrestle stream. He's only uses PS4 still too. So I mean, there's a good amount of people who didn't make the upgrade to the PS5 because there wasn't enough. Wasn't enough PS5 only stuff.
In defense of the PS5. I will say it, and I'll go back to what I said before I bought it and what kind of convinced me to get it, was that if you think of it less as an expensive console and as a cheap gaming PC, then it makes a little more sense. And the PS5 Pro apparently is like double the speed and all this crap and all these different things compared to the original PS5. Therefore, a $700 top-of-the-line gaming PC is actually really cheap. But of course, it has to be optimized for PlayStation, and you can only play what they allow you to play. But that's kind of a way to look at it. If you're like back to being a tech head, like if you want the best of the best, you got to pay for it.
Well, yeah, I was thinking about because when the PS4 Pro came out, then the PS4 price dropped to like $200, and that's when I bought a PS4. But it looks like the PS5 isn't dropping. I guess they even raised the price of the PS5 in Japan.
They did.
And they raised the price of the controller in some places too, right? Because of because they were losing money, so it's like I don't know.
Also, like components got more expensive.
Yeah, that as well. But I mean, I'm just saying
they no longer want to take a loss, and so I don't know. It's to the point where we're seeing like. It's been for a while now, but we're seeing like Nintendo's taking the right approach to just get something that can run the games you're going to develop. And hopefully some third-party shit can fit on there, which in the case of indies and stuff, almost always works. But the PlayStation, like the Sony method of like all these iterations on their main console, I don't think that's sustainable, and I don't think that's going to continue into the future. I think that I don't know. I mean, I would be kind of surprised if it doesn't sell well, just because maybe some people are going to be like, well, now I'm finally going to buy a PlayStation 5. I'm going to get the best one.
I'm getting the $800 one. Well, I mean,
right,
I guess
maybe it'll be easier to get a hold of
because
because not as many people are buying it.
Sure.
But I don't know. I'm just of the opinion that the software is not keeping up with the hardware anymore. So, like, what's the point?
Yeah, I mean, I still have yet to even see a regular PS5 in the wild. I mean, I don't go to the store that much, but whenever I do, I look, and I still haven't seen one, anywhere. So, but yeah, I mean, what I was like, when I saw it, I was like, oh, when the Pro comes out, then maybe the 5 price would drop. But I guess if you get a refurbished one, you can get one for like $400, like directly from Sony. That's what they were selling. Like I saw that Wario 64 put that up there.
I think I got my PS4 refurbished for like around $200.
Yeah, I got my PS4 new, but I thought it was some sort of deal where it was 2 something, and I got the I got Uncharted 4 for free with it. Never played it, but I have it.
Yeah, mine came with that.
It came with Uncharted 4, and I think it came with I don't know. I thought it came with something else. No, it came with like a gift card, like a GameStop $50 gift card.
Just like when I got my PS5, I got God of War Ragnarok, and I've never played it.
Yeah. Well, I don't like Uncharted, so I mean, it was in no rush to play that game because I think those games get pretty old pretty fast. But that's me. I mean, it's all just hiding and shooting, and it gets boring. Hiding and shooting and climbing. That's what you get for those. But yeah, I mean, I was all, I'm interested in, I'm kind of interested in getting a PS5 just for a couple things, like Tekken 8 and better loading on Street Fighter 6 and like that sort of thing. But I'm still on my original thing, what I committed to is that I'm not buying any new system until I see what Switch 2 is, because when I bought the PS4, the Switch came out and then I didn't play the PS4. So I mean, I'm afraid of the same thing happening to me where and I don't have the money to anyway, but if I did and I bought a PS5 and and then I played it for like a month and then the Switch 2 came out and then I just play that the whole time and I don't play the PS5. It's like I want to see what Nintendo does, but seeing like the pricing on the PlayStation 5 and all that stuff, it makes you kind of, it makes you wonder about whatever Nintendo's going to end up doing with their successor and all that. Like maybe it'll end up being $400 or I don't know if it'll be as high as 500, but
I think it'll be 4.
4 seems like a Nintendo price, especially with seeing like the PlayStation regular version being like 700.
What was the Wii U? It was $350, right, when it was new.
Was it? I've seen a whole lot of memes where it's like you can get 4 Wii U's for the price of a PlayStation 5 Pro. So what do you?
But I remember when the Wii U came out, it was like really expensive. Like it was the most expensive. I think it was more expensive than the Switch when it first came out, and that was in 2012 or whatever.
Maybe so, yeah. I mean, well,
I think it was like $349 or something.
Yeah, I mean, the Wii U didn't really have a whole lot to play when it came out. There was like new Super Mario Brothers U and like Nintendo Land and stuff like that. Like, I mean, I waited for. I mean, Nintendo, whatever. Super Mario 3D World was the one that like got me. Was like, I need to get a Wii U. That was. That's kind of where I did it for.
I'll say one last thing, like incrementally. I might as well just mention it because it seems like it's a good segue. But I did mention at the top of the show that my iPhone's a piece of trash now. It's not really, but it is like
16 or whatever it is.
Yeah. So I have the top of the line iPhone available to consumers for the next like couple of weeks, and then now I won't anymore.
But you have the USB-C plug, right?
Yeah, and I have the Pro, so I have the like all the new shit is going to work with my phone, but it's still kind of funny because like they showed off this new like camera button that I actually think is really cool.
Oh yeah, I saw. I mean, I didn't watch any of this shit, but I read about it for.
I use my phone for my camera feature a lot, so something like that.
It's probably something where you can like take selfies easier or something like that.
Well, no, it's like it turns like part of the side of your phone turns into like a touch screen kind of thing where you can it's like a capacitive thing where you've got a camera button that's dedicated and then you can zoom in and zoom out and do all this other stuff just with your finger on top, so you don't have to like cover up the screen while you're doing shit.
Yeah. So it's got its own little like dial or something there.
Pretty much. Yeah, it's like a little like virtual dial that they've added. So there's a little capacitive spot on the side of the phone dedicated to the camera. That's pretty cool. But otherwise, I don't really see much else that I care about.
And you guys both use USB-Cs, right? Shauna doesn't have an iPhone, right? But you guys both got USB-C.
Yeah. Shauna's an Android gal.
Yeah, I figured.
So she's got the one of the Samsung flagships. I don't think she has the newest one, but she has one of those.
Yeah, I didn't really look at. I mean, I have an iPhone 15. Nobody cares about this one, but I don't want to buy another backbone, so I'm keeping this thing until it breaks, because I don't want to buy another $100 backbone to play games with it because of a different plug or whatever. So I'm sticking by this Lightning one for as long as I can. But is there I don't know? Is there any other news that we could talk about?
I mean, the only other big news of the week was that Dreamcast turned 25.
It did.
This past week was the 25th anniversary of 99.99 when the Dreamcast was released, which at the time was the biggest entertainment event as far as sales and stuff went. I mean, it was very quickly usurped, I think. But like for a video game console to like set that sales record at the time was a pretty big deal. And Sega really looked like they were set. But of course, we know how that all worked out.
And at the time, that was like buying a power PC. Like it was the
Yeah.
most powerful system at the time.
It even had like
Dreamcast.
Windows built into it, like it ran on a Windows OS. So, but yeah, Dreamcast, 25 years old. It's crazy.
Yeah,
That system
old
is that
Dreamcast.
old.
And
It's a quarter of a century old.
I was going to say, speaking of Dreamcast, go to patreon.com/NintenDomain podcast and listen to our Dreamcast episode that we did. I don't know how many years ago, but we recorded a specific Dreamcast episode, of course, about our memories and love for that machine and all that. I was telling John earlier, actually, there was this big box that was over here that I finally took apart and organized all my cords and all that. And I found my second, I knew my second Dreamcast controller was in there, but I pulled it out of there. But I made like my files here. I have like a little, like one of the drawers just has like, I just put a bunch of stuff in bags. It's like, here's your Genesis, here's your Genesis AV plugs, here's your NES ones, here's your Super Nintendo ones. Like I categorized all of them and all that. So I found my other Dreamcast controller in there. But now I know where everything is. So it's all there.
It's a good feeling.
If I need any whatever, like, I'll be like, hey, I need a Genesis power adapter. It's like, here it is. Even though I still can't find my
Which is the same as the NES adapter.
I still can't find. Is it?
Yeah,
I still can't.
Same exact one.
I still can't find my
they're
GameCube adapter.
Changeable, yeah. The GameCube adapter is different for sure.
Yeah, well, the power, because I had two GameCube plugs, and I don't know where the second
The
one
GameCube has a brick, I believe.
Yeah, no, it's a brick that plugs into another thing. It's like basically like what you plug into your PS4 or 5.
It's similar to the Wii, but I don't think it's the same.
No, the Wii doesn't.
The Wii had a different, like a proprietary plug.
Yeah,
for the power.
The GameCube, the plug is different from all the other ones. They're doing a direct for the Lord of the Rings Tales of the Shire game. That's not really what I was thinking of, but I just saw that was what was happening. I guess I saw yesterday speaking of the Marvel vs. Capcom collection, I saw that they were actually, the physical version is getting a comic book that comes with it, like an actual physical comic book. So that's kind of cool.
That's cool.
That actually does kind of make me want to, I mean, I'm not going to double dip on it, but I do want to see what that comic is. I guess they're saying that it's maybe a new thing that's getting printed for it. I don't know. I'm just curious to see what it is. They should put it on Marvel Unlimited so I can read it, because I want to see what that would be. I mean, they might put it. I mean, they put all the stuff from like Free Comic Book Day on there and stuff, so maybe they put that on there. But that was a pretty cool thing that was on there. But aside from that, yeah, I think that's good for our news.
Yeah,
unless you have anything.
Sounds
else,
good to me. I couldn't think of anything else off the top of my head.
Yeah, aside from we could just keep talking about PS5's racing stripes or whatever. I was seeing a lot of memes of The Simpsons when Homer like makes the power plant with the wings on the side, and the racing stripes, like where it's like, hey, that has, or people like putting electric tape just on the side of their PS5s and be like, hey, I got it, I upgraded. But it's eventually. I mean, eventually you'll need it for something, But I'd kind of forgot about the PS4 Pro until just now. So I mean, that was a thing that I don't even remember. I remember people getting it and they said it loaded better and it ran some other things better than others, but
it's a footnote in history because it was a stopgap, just like this is
like the new 3DS. But announce the thing already. The Switch 2. Yeah, I think that's good for this episode. You can, like as I said before, go to patreon.com and patreon.com/NintenDomain podcast and support the show. And you can see all of our bonus episodes. I just put up our top 10 N64 ranking episode is up there. And there'll be another one up soon for this month where we do another full-on Galloping Ghost episode, on which I'll probably edit that next week. That'll be up there. Plus the WART radio stuff and the videos of us that we post whenever we're done recording, so you can see those early and whatnot. Oh yeah, and also we are gonna give out. We have an extra Steam code for Gimmick 2, so I was just gonna put it in the details of the episode, so nobody got any extra. Got to get to it extra, even the patrons. So look in the description, and you can find a free Steam code for Gimmick 2, because we have an extra one, and we want to share it with you, the listener, such a great game where you can play it on Steam. So check it out. It's great. It's got a great soundtrack. Listen to it with your headphones on or with big speakers or whatever. And you can find me at twitch.tv/NintenDomain podcast for a weekly stream. Gonna try to stream Marvel vs. Capcom after this. And also you can find me on X, Twitter, whatever the fuck, at Nintendo_domain and NintenDomain at Blue Sky. And Facebook as well. We have a community page on there, whatever. Check all that shit out. You can find that on there. And YouTube, NintenDomain, find it all around. But yeah, we've been your hosts. I'm Trey Johnson.
And I'm Jerry Mikowski.
And thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you next time.
See ya!
And who am I?
Who are you?
Who?